Good morning, folks. We're back. Did you notice I had a little break? Not really been to the plot since, well, not done anything proper since like Wednesday. Today is Sunday morning. We've had absolutely loads of rain overnight, which is just great for the plants. The thunderstorms did pass us by though, and I thought I'd just come up today. I've not even had my coffee yet this morning. I woke up, it's about 6:30. I woke up, checked the forecast and thought, oh, it's going to start tipping it down again at 8. So I thought I'd come down and just get a little bit of time in. And there's one thing I did see that concerned me, and that is in the spectacular looking Chilli Greenhouse. There is just one back there that looks like it needs a water, but everything else looking really, really healthy. I nipped up and just gave these a quick looking over, a quick water the other day, Friday. But the thing that concerned me was my watermelon. It's just got loads and loads of dying leaves all the way around. Little bits just dying off, and I'm really not too sure what it is. I'm hoping that it's just the disruption of trailing it around this new structure. Maybe I kind of damaged something a little bit, maybe. But I have been quite surprised at, I've been kind of keeping an eye on it, and it looks okay. There's lots of new growth at the top. That's kind of always the main thing to look for, I think, with plant health. If you've got lots of new growth at the top, that is a really good sign. This bit around here. So I think it's going to be okay, but it did give me a little bit of a fright. You always have to be patient with these things, but oh, look, that's exciting. Still really, really firm. I think it's got a lot of growing to do and a lot of ripening, but it's kind of supported now by just hanging on the outside of this wire that goes around the twine. Immediate impressions of the auto pot are kicking in as well already. What's this one close to me? I think it's the Goshu. This closest one is the Goshu. And let me see if I can find the potted alternative. It is actually up here, and it's in a 7.5 litre pot, so by no means a fair comparison. It also in chronic need of supporting, so when it starts raining, that's going to be my job. I go come in here and support these, because this Korean pepper and the chili chunk piri piri behind it are really in danger of falling over. So they need a... Oh, what's this? This one's really upright. Look at that. Those shoots all going straight up. Looks like bamboo. It's the rawit. Interesting. Getting quite a few first peppers starting to come through, loads on that go shoot. Down here, the sugar rush stripey is also in probably a little bit more flower than it should be. Got loads of these pods, but I'm not taking these off because they take up to just kind of 6 weeks to actually ripen. So I'm going to be leaving those, but I have actually started nipping out the flowers on this because I want it to become a much bigger plant. Kashmiri too, loaded with pods. And the Kangstar Lemon Starburst down here, looking exquisite. Just tiny little baby, but looking really, really healthy. Meanwhile, outside everything's still looking really gorgeous. If I get time today, I do want to sort out this bed and give it a mulch so it can look like this. Just amazing, especially after the rain. But one thing that is a nice little treat, the paths are still intact. The foxes haven't come along and dug them all up. So there's a really nice little treat. And the cucumbers just about hanging in. The lettuce is looking really good, but those cucumbers not so much. Yeah, they might still do it, but we'll see. We'll see. This bed is starting to look a little over. The borage has fallen over now, so maybe I need to give this a little bit of attention too. How's the squash doing that we put in here? Very slow growth. Very slow, okay. The nursery area has not given us anything just yet. Unfortunately, a lot of these lettuce transplants have not survived. That's a shame. And the ones in the little Charles Dowding tray doing okay. The old spinach, something has had a root around in there, so that's not great. But, a little bit of patience, and hopefully this July sowing will come through. One thing I have just seen that is just one of my favourite sights. A little bit of ragwort popped up, and I wasn't really, just kind of happened, didn't even really notice it. It's absolutely full of these orange and black cinnabar moth caterpillars. They are just So cool. These are something that I've been seeing since I was a kid, you know? They used to be all over the place at parks and stuff that we'd play at as kids. I was always kind of fascinated by them because they appear in such great numbers. This one's gone a bit awry. Somehow found itself on a little strand of grass, but I just love seeing these. And the actual moths as well are gorgeous, kind of black and red moths. Day flying too. I love it. And it's just one of kind of thousands and thousands, or hundreds and hundreds anyway, of insects that ragwort supports. So it's got a bit of a bad rep, but in my opinion, it's a really great one to have around, unless you're making hay for animal feed. But one of the other main things I wanted to do today was to come and check on the second plot. We spent a little bit of time the other day looking at the third plot and how things were doing there. And there's one thing in particular I want to show you today, and that is the corn, which is looking amazing. Although I was just smiling extremely smugly, and I've just noticed that loads of it is going to seed already. There's one there. This one at the back is too. In fact, I think they're all doing it. Oh no. There's one here. Does that mean it's done? Have I accidentally planted mini sweet corn, low growing sweet corn? This is solstice. F1. Is it meant to do this? Does it hate this bed? Have we found something else that's kind of allergic to the third plot? I was really expecting this to be like, oh my God, look at it. I was going to be showing it off. And then I was going to talk about needing to start thinking about protecting it from the badgers. And that I'm planning to do that in the next few days. But what's this? It's a really pretty little moth. Yeah. Any suggestions, please? I was planning on getting this video out pretty quick because I was going to ask people for suggestions about protecting corn from badgers. I was thinking build some kind of timber structure around it, and it was going to be quite difficult because of the height of the corn. But if this is as tall as it's going to grow, then at least maybe protecting it will be a little bit easier. Okay, well, that's not what I was expecting at all. The celeriac. Is this okay? I can't really tell. I think it could look worse. I think it's looking okay. One thing is, apparently you're meant to remove the bottom leaves to prevent bolting, which is a bit unusual, but I might double check that and also have a weed in here, because if we're going to put some cage or some kind of thing on here, it's going to make weeding a little bit more difficult. That has really thrown me. That has completely and utterly thrown me for 6. I've just Googled it and absolutely no suggestion that it's a short growing corn or anything like that. It is an early corn, solstice, so maybe it's something to do with that. Is this comfrey? I literally just looked down and noticed this. This used to be a little strip of flowers. When I first took this over, I could see where they used to be, and there's still a little bit of lavender. I'm just looking at this and it looks like comfrey. Please let me know in the comments. I'm asking lots of questions of you in the comments today. All the squash looking pretty good, which is great. The onions too. Once again, they need a weed. There's such a big difference between conventional digging and the weeds that come through. But I must say, I've got onions. I actually have some onions, which is a minor miracle. Really, really pleased. There's actually lots of good stuff. As I look around, this isn't so great. The grapes, absolutely decrepit greenhouse next door. Unfortunately, this is just wild, just completely crazy. It's such a shame as well, because it used to be such a neat and tidy plot. There's loads of raised beds under there. These things happen, don't they? But we do have some growth over here too, down in the parsnip bed, which is looking fantastic. I mean, well, that's maybe looking fantastic to me. There's definitely some space to intercrop some stuff there. I need to get in and give it a weed. Unfortunately, Jess's flower beds, you will have noticed I've just not really been including these in the updates because I didn't want to be harsh on her. Oh, her sweet peas have come up as well. But she's really lost the will with this. I think it just knocked her too much. And I think she's basically basically given up. She might yet come back, but I'm not really holding up hope. It's a real shame. I do understand she's just not she doesn't love to come all the way to the allotment, and it is a bit of a shame. But look at these. I might just keep these on, as a flower bed, and it might be my job. I might have to finally try and pick up a new skill, learn to sow some flowers. I do the occasional ones, and you see the ones I've done in the beds that are kind of some of the more traditional cottage garden type things. I do really enjoy that, so maybe I need to try my hand at some cut flowers. Steve loved it, didn't he? So maybe that should be on my list for next year. One thing I have been meaning to show on the channel for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, like I always finish and I go, oh, I didn't talk about the raspberries. Because look at them, they're appalling. They are really, really struggling. And this is not drought. These have actually been quite well watered, because I saw them flagging quite early in the season as everything else was starting to suffer from drought. And I thought it would be nice to have some raspberries. I wanted to get them through a little bit. So they've had lots of water and they just look appalling. They look really, really bad. There's a little patch of raspberries in the plot next door, and by little, I mean absolutely giant. Really, really big raspberry patch in the background of lots of my videos, and this is more what it's meant to look like. These are healthy raspberry bushes, and they've had no water at all or anything like that. They're just much, much healthier plants. My point is really that I think this is another piece of the puzzle of me trying to figure out what is going on this new plot in terms of fertility. We've had just miserable failures on here. That's a little bit dramatic. We've had some miserable failures on here. The spuds, as you've all seen, just really not very good. Most of the things that I tried planting in no-dig beds at first were shocking, appalling. The rhubarb, on the other hand, has looked really good, but that is in a whole raised bed, and I'm imagining that had a lot of other stuff added or put in the first place when they put that raised bed in. I guess maybe that's something to do with the corn. I'm not really sure. I guess a more encouraging sign is that a lot of the squash that have gone in are looking okay. That one is starting to get away. Celeriac's okay too. So maybe I'm being a little bit hasty, but this bed was a complete disaster as well. It was as soon as all the onions that I put in here kind of got into the soil, they just sat there and did not do anything. We have got some successes now, the cucumbers and the squash coming up here and there, looking pretty good actually. And there's a couple of, literally, so this was 3 beds of onions, and these are like the only row of surviving plants, which is a bit of a shame. Got some lettuce here as well. They've all kind of been planted a bit too close and gone a little bit crazy. This squash, I am demonstrating the green side up technique with the canes. So kind of lay out all the canes around, and then you basically curve it around the canes. And now this one will come up. Just gentle, and I'll put in another cane, and then basically it's just a way to make this a bit more compact instead of it doing this and just going out across the bed. So I'm going to get some more canes and do that now. It's super easy, these canes. I've just put a few in here and there now, and I've started training that one. So it just keeps things a little bit more compact. I have to say, generally speaking, this plot, it's a bit of a struggle. It is a bit of a struggle. Don't get me wrong, I'm not looking for sympathy or anything like that. I just think it's always really worthwhile being very honest in these videos about how it's going with the conversion of this new plot, because I don't think it's been a particular success. It could be so much worse, and I am quite proud of how far it's come, but it needs an awful lot more work. I meant to look at the plums as well. I saw Chilli Chump just did a video about plum wine, and his plums are all ready to go, and it made me go, oh God, I hope that mine aren't ready. And I'm quite thankful, because there's so many other things to do, that these are still green and unripe. I think it's time to start thinking about pruning these as well. I've been saying that for a little while, but these are just really unusual structure of tree, the way that the branches are coming out so long and then just dipping down. It does look like there's a good amount of plums coming though. I'm quite excited to have plum harvest. But yes, like I say, I don't mean to be dramatic. I'm not doing the whole, oh, woe is me, and you know, everything is terrible and that kind of thing. It's just that as I've been going around this second plot today, the feeling it's not filled me with joy like the first plot has. But the first plot, that's 4 years of work, you know, that's 4 years of really tough work at times. And this is just the beginning for the second plot still. There's still so much time. I've still got a lot of very exciting plans for what's going to be going on here. So I think, so long as I think about that, it keeps a smile on my face. Thank you ever so much for joining me. An extra special thank you to my Chilli Pepper patrons, Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Michael, Mel, Socks, Denise, and Craig. Hopefully I'll see you again in the next one.